Am I the bumhole for begging my girlfriend to uphold a sexist tradition just so she can make a good first impression? I have a big family that's incredibly close. We have big family dinners every few months where we all meet at my great-grandfather's estate and eat together. Typically how this works is that the women go cook for the time they're there and the men don't. Which I am fully aware it's sexist as hell. That being said, I am one of the youngest people in family and my protests mean literally nothing. Some of those women choose not to cook, however this is usually met with a level of ostracizing. The women who don't cook are lives and long-term girlfriends. So they kinda already have a good family relationship doctored in. When I have seen new partners not cook, it's gone bad. Like completely ostracized, not speaking, cattiness, rudeness etc. This dinner will be in 2 weeks and my girlfriend was asked if she would attend. Initially she said yes, which is great. I want for her to meet everyone and for everyone to get used to her being around, but when I explained to her the tradition she was understandably bothered. I told her that I understood where she was coming from, however it was best for everyone if she just played along. I told her this isn't a permanent thing and that I am only asking her to do this so that she can avoid bad treatment from the rest of the family. This is her first impression and I don't think it's best if we cause waves. She told me that it's unacceptable and that if she has to do that she will not be going. I've tried to find a compromise with her on this but she won't budge and she's pissed at me. She told me that if I think it's acceptable to make her do this I'm just as bad as everyone else, while my point is that she needs to make a good first impression. So, is he the a-hole? Am I the bumhole for not wanting my girlfriend to repay her school loans to her parents? So my GF and I are planning to move together after 3 years of relationship, and money came up as a point of discussion. We are both fine with splitting up expenses in a 50-50 manner. We live in the EU. She is in university, I am soon to be working as a decently, but not greatly paid government employee. The problem is that my GF, years ago, chose to move to a big city and study at a private university instead of a public one. Her parents, likely being overconfident in their economical possibilities, decided to pay for my GF studies but at the condition of being paid back as soon as she gets working, seeing that she could have chosen a public and cheap uni instead. She has to repay about 50k euros, in a country with a median net salary of 20k. My GF's degree is not really marketable and such a debt would cripple her, ours, start in life hurting us much more than it would hurt their parents not to get the money back. As in addition, my opinion is that parents should facilitate their kids' life, and they should not expect children to be economically neutral or positive to them. My GF assured me that she would pay her parents back from her own salary. But really, that would be money coming out of our already thin paychecks and I would end up needing to compensate for her initially low, and then even lower salary after the loan payments. I told her that I do not care for her parents and I feel morally fine cutting ties with them. I told her that we, as a couple, need to make us two a priority and that I do not want to be collateral damage of her and her family irresponsible decisions. I am not suggesting to flip off her parents, but politely explain to them that we have a serious need of money and they don't. She proceeded to get mad, reassuring me that we would not feel any monetary damage, which is literally untrue, and that eventually we will be fine. So, what do you think? Is he the a-hole? Am I the bumhole for causing family drama over a swimming pool? So I know from experience that Reddit isn't the most understanding towards parents of young kids, but I really just want a third-party opinion because this situation is driving me crazy and my family are saying I need to get over it. I, female in her 30s, live with my partner and our 2 kids, ages 7 and 3. My older sister, Ava, also a female in her 30s and her husband recently purchased a house in the local area. It's a super nice place with a big yard and as you can probably guess from the title, a swimming pool. Ava recently hosted a barbecue at her place. It wasn't a huge event, she invited me, our parents and our other siblings. She mentioned letting the kids play in the pool so I only assumed my kids would get to be included. We are potty training although my youngest is still in diapers at the moment. At the barbecue, I was getting my youngest ready for the pool by changing him into a swim diaper. Ava pulled me aside and told me she doesn't think it's hygienic for my youngest to play in the pool, since swim diapers don't hold pee and she asked that he doesn't swim in the pool with the other kids playing in it. I didn't think this was fair and told Ava that lots of people, adults and kids, pee in the pool and it would be no different at a public pool so what's the problem? She was being really condescending and wouldn't listen to me at all and said that he can play in the pool when he's toilet trained, and said it's not fair on the other kids. At this point my son was crying because he wanted to swim in the pool and I told Ava she was being cold but it's her house and her pool so do what you want. Ava accused me of trying to guilt trip her and told me to just drop it. I was getting upset myself at this point and I told our parents and other siblings about what Ava did. They told me it's not a big deal and that it's not worth arguing with her over and try not to let it bother me. I wasn't happy with this because this essentially means they're siding with her and downplaying how she treated me and my son. I left the barbecue early with my family because we didn't feel welcome after that. The next day Ava messaged me a whole paragraphs and said that she's sorry, that I'm upset and that she wasn't trying to exclude my son for the sake of it. It was a super non-apology and I told her I don't want to hear it and that she's damaged her relationship with her nephew and she's not the one who had to deal with him being upset. Ava snapped at me out of nowhere and said I'm being dramatic. I told her to grow up and said that I have a very valid reason to be mad, and she needs to stop acting like a teenager. Ava showed these messages to everyone and everything's just a bit up in the air. I feel like I'm right here but the rest of my family doesn't seem to agree. Is she the a-hole in this one? Am I the bumhole for having my son miss his graduating road trip to watch his sibling? My son just graduated high school and we were paying so he could go on a road trip with his friends. He was supposed to go Wednesday. My wife's mother and father got in a car accident. They live in another state so we had to drive about 4 hours. My wife was a wreck and wasn't in the position to drive since her dad was critical. He pulled through luckily. We have 2 other kids 11 and 7. We can't leave them at home alone and we couldn't find a sitter to watch them on such short notice. We even tried our neighbors but he couldn't do it. So that left our 18-year-old. He was pissed to put it mildly but did it. I told him we would make it up to him, and if he could ask if his friend could move it back a week. They couldn't sadly. We were gone for 2 days, he pulled though. My wife stayed and I headed back. I paid him for watching the kids and went to talk to him about getting him on the trip. It was supposed to be 2 weeks and they should just be a state over. He blows up about ruining his trip and there is no point going even though it should still 12 days of the trip. He called up a jerk and locked himself in his room. I need another opinion since this was emergency and he doesn't seem to care his grandparents almost passed. So, what do you guys think? Is he the a-hole?